The Galactic Council's dismissal. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with representatives from hundreds of star systems. Towering figures with scaled skin, beings with floating appendages, and creatures with eyes that saw beyond visible light, all gathered around a massive circular table. The air vibrated with hushed murmurs and mechanical clicks as delegates communicated in their own ways. The meeting had one topic: Earth. A holographic display hovered in the center of the chamber, showing a small blue planet spinning slowly in the darkness of space. It was nothing remarkable, at least to the eyes of the Council. Supreme Chancellor Orvex, a tall, insectoid being with a golden carapace, waved a clawed hand, and the murmuring stopped. His deep voice echoed across the chamber. "We have received reports that this planet, designated as Earth, is making rapid technological progress. Some among us believe they could be a threat to our established order." Laughter erupted from several council members. A hulking reptilian warlord, General Karthok of the Dralzan Empire, let out a guttural chuckle. His sharp teeth gleamed under the chamber's artificial lights. "A threat? To us?" He bared his fangs in amusement. "Their ships are tiny. Their weapons are primitive. They still fight among themselves like animals. What can they possibly do to challenge the Galactic Council?" A slender, gray-skinned diplomat from the XL Terry Dominion leaned forward, her black eyes narrowing. "And yet, their history is unusual." She flicked her fingers, and the holographic display changed. It now showed images of Earth's past: massive wars, devastating battles, and cities rising from the ruins of destruction. Unlike most civilizations, these humans thrive on conflict. Every time they are pushed to the brink, they return stronger. Even their own self-inflicted disasters have not wiped them out. They adapt faster than we can predict. Chancellor Orvex clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "That is an interesting point. However, adapting is not the same as being powerful. They have no interstellar fleet. Their planet is unguarded. They have not even left their own solar system." An elder from the Varnax consortium, a species with crystalline bodies, hummed in agreement. "If they ever become a problem, we will crush them before they can act. There is no need for concern." "That is where you are wrong." A deep voice cut through the discussion, silencing the chamber. The speaker was an aging military strategist, Admiral Thran of the Zevran Republic. Unlike the others, he did not look amused or dismissive. His 4 golden eyes locked onto the Chancellor. "I have studied humans. They are not like us. They do not conquer like the Dralzan. They do not negotiate like the XL Terry. They do not build empires like the Varnax. What they do is survive. And when they are threatened, they do not stop until their enemies are destroyed." The reptilian General Karthok snorted. "You sound afraid." Thran shook his head. "I am not afraid. I am warning you. The humans do not fight for glory. They do not fight for territory. They fight for survival. And they have a saying, one that I think you should all hear." He tapped a control panel, and a human voice echoed across the chamber, translated into every language present. "Do not start a war with us, because we will end it." A heavy silence followed. Some council members shifted uncomfortably, while others rolled their eyes. "Dramatic words," Chancellor Orvex scoffed. "But words mean nothing. Their weapons are still weak, their ships slow. We should send a scout fleet to observe them and confirm their supposed progress." General Karthok grinned, his claws tapping against the table. "Yes, let us see these so-called dangerous humans for ourselves. Perhaps if they amuse me, I will keep one as a pet." More laughter followed. The vote was cast, and the decision was made. A small scout fleet would be sent to Earth, just to ensure that humanity remained insignificant. No one in the chamber suspected that this decision would soon become the greatest mistake in the history of the Galactic Council. Earth's unseen defenses activate. The Galactic Council's decision had been swift. An observation fleet was dispatched toward Earth to confirm its insignificance. The fleet consisted of 12 warships, each designed for deep space reconnaissance and light combat, capable of obliterating a planet's defenses if needed. The fleet's commander, Admiral Tyrell of the Varnax Consortium, watched the blue planet grow larger on his display. He was confident this was just another primitive world, another species that thought too highly of itself. The Council had conquered countless civilizations before, and Earth would be no different. Yet, something felt wrong. As the fleet approached Earth's orbit, their scanners picked up nothing unusual. No planetary shields, no deep space defense grids, no detectable warships. No signs of advanced weaponry, reported a Exceltary officer, his tentacle-like fingers flicking across the control panel. Their orbital presence consists of primitive satellites and a few space stations. Nothing that could threaten us. Admiral Tyrell smirked. Exactly as expected. These humans are barely crawling out of their own star system. Let's establish orbit and begin detailed scans of their military infrastructure. But then, a warning alarm blared through the fleet. Admiral, we're detecting something. Anomalous energy signatures fluctuating in the surrounding space. Tyrell. Clarify. What kind of energy signatures? The officer hesitated. Unknown. It does not match any known planetary defense systems. Before Tyrell could respond, all 12 ships lost power, simultaneously. A pulse of invisible energy swept across the fleet, and in an instant, every warship went dark. No engines, no weapons, no shields. The bridge of Tyrell's flagship was now illuminated only by the emergency lights. The crew frantically attempted to regain control, their instruments flickering erratically. Admiral, all primary systems are offline. We've lost propulsion and communications. Tyrell's 4 crystalline eyes widened in disbelief. How? There was no attack. No weapons were fired. Then, across the fleet, the comms came back online. But it wasn't the Admiral's doing. A single transmission played across every ship's communication systems. Calm, measured, and spoken in perfect galactic standard. Leave. Now. A shiver ran down Tyrell's spine. The message repeated. Leave. Now. The voice was human. Tyrell's claws dug into the control panel. Who is this? Identify yourself. Silence. Then one of the warships began drifting uncontrollably toward Earth. Sir, we've lost all control of the Wraithborn. It's being pulled into the planet's atmosphere. The crew aboard the doomed warship screamed as their ship, helpless and powerless, descended toward Earth's gravity well. Tyrell could do nothing but watch as the vessel vanished in a burst of fire and debris. No human weapons had been fired. Earth had not attacked them. Yet, one of the most advanced warships in the Galactic Council's fleet had been wiped out in seconds. A deep silence settled over the remaining 11 ships. The transmission resumed. This time, the voice was not calm. It was a warning. We gave you a choice. Now you have one chance. Retreat or suffer the consequences. Admiral Tyrell's hands trembled. He had never encountered anything like this. It was as if Earth itself had decided to erase them from existence. The remaining fleet, still trapped and powerless, had no choice. Emergency retreat. Get us out of here. Tyrell roared. One by one, the ships activated their emergency hyperdrives, vanishing into the darkness of space, fleeing in utter terror. But as the final warship escaped, Tyrell caught a final glimpse of something. Something impossible. On the far side of Earth's moon, a structure shimmered, a massive hidden construct that had remained undetected. The Council had always assumed Earth was weak because their technology was visible. But what if Earth's true power had been hidden this entire time? Tyrell's blood ran cold. They had made a mistake, a terrible mistake. The first warning, a silent strike. The remnants of the Galactic Council's fleet limped through the vast emptiness of space, retreating from Earth at speeds just short of desperation. The silence aboard the bridge of Admiral Cyril's flagship was deafening. Shock, confusion, fear, these emotions ran rampant among his crew. "Admiral, what just happened?" One of his officers finally broke the silence, his voice barely above a whisper. Cyril's crystalline fingers gripped the armrest of his chair so tightly that the reinforced metal groaned under the pressure. "We were defeated," he admitted, his voice hollow. "And we never even saw the weapon." His words sent a chill through the bridge. Defeated, without a single shot fired. A fleet of warships, each boasting some of the most advanced technologies known to the galaxy, had been reduced to fleeing cowards. Earth had done the impossible. And the worst part, no one understood how. The Galactic Council's emergency summit. Back at the heart of the Galactic Council, the emergency summit convened. The chamber, usually an arena of diplomatic debates and strategic discussions, now hummed with an undercurrent of unease. The footage from the fleet's black box recorders was displayed in the center of the massive hall. An entire fleet shut down in an instant. A warship dragged into Earth's atmosphere and obliterated without a single visible attack. The room was filled with murmurs, accusations, and outright panic. "This is absurd," barked General Karthok, his reptilian tail slamming against the floor in frustration. "This has to be some kind of malfunction. Earth does not have the capability to do this." A Celtari scientist clicked his mandibles in frustration. And yet, it happened. The chamber erupted into chaos. "We need to launch a full-scale attack," one council member shouted. "Are we sure this isn't just a bluff?" Another questioned, "What if Earth has allies we don't know about?" Then, the room went dark. A hush fell over the council as every screen in the chamber flickered, overridden by an incoming transmission. The humans were calling, and they had not waited for permission. The first contact. Humanity speaks. A single human appeared on the central holoscreen. A woman. She was seated in what looked like a dimly lit control room, dressed in a simple uniform with the insignia of United Earth Command. Her expression was neutral, cold, unreadable. But her eyes held a quiet intensity that sent an unsettling feeling across the chamber. She leaned forward, and then, in flawless galactic standard, she spoke. "We gave you a choice. You ignored it. Consider this our first and final warning." Silence. No one in the council chamber dared to breathe. The human continued. "You assumed we were defenseless. You assumed we lacked the technology to stand against you. That was your first mistake." The screens flickered again, now displaying a new image. The moon. Or rather, what was beneath the moon's surface. A massive structure, invisible to standard scans, hidden for decades, if not centuries, now fully revealed. It stretched across thousands of kilometers, pulsing with an eerie, unfamiliar energy signature. The council members stared in horror. The moon had been a trap all along. The woman's voice remained calm, unwavering. "You do not understand what we are. You do not understand what we have built. You do not understand how long we have waited for the day you would come." Her eyes narrowed, the glow of her screens reflecting in them like fire. "Leave Earth alone, or we will teach you why your ancestors feared the dark." The transmission cut. The room remained silent. No one spoke. No one dared to. And then the screens came back online, but not with the council's usual interface. A single countdown had begun. A mysterious 48-hour timer, ticking down. What would happen when it reached zero? No one knew. No one wanted to find out. But one thing was clear. Earth was done hiding. Earth's unbelievable counterattack. The 48-hour countdown loomed over the Galactic Council like a guillotine. Every second that ticked away sent fresh waves of unease rippling through the chamber. The Council, once a proud assembly of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, now found itself paralyzed by a single planet, a planet they had underestimated. The humans had not made requests. They had not negotiated. They had simply warned. And the moment the countdown began, Panic spread across the galaxy. The Council's desperate response. Supreme Chancellor Orvek stood at the head of the emergency war meeting. His golden exoskeleton shimmered under the artificial lights, but the usual authority in his posture was absent. Seated around him were some of the most powerful warlords and strategists in the galaxy, beings who had led empires to conquest, who had orchestrated planetary invasions. Yet now, they sat in silence, watching the numbers on the countdown steadily decrease. "We must act." General Karthok slammed his scaled fist onto the table. "This is nothing more than human arrogance. They threaten us with shadows and holograms, and we cower. No, we must wipe them out before this bluff becomes a real danger." Across the room, Admiral Thran of the Zevran Republic shook his head. His 4 golden eyes burned with barely concealed frustration. "You still don't understand," he said, voice low but firm. "This isn't a bluff. This is a declaration." The Drelzan general bared his teeth. A declaration of what? Thran turned to face him, and when he spoke, his words sent a chill through the room. "Of war, but not the kind you know." The chamber fell into a heavy silence. For centuries, the Council had waged war with overwhelming brute force, sending massive fleets, deploying planetary bombardments, forcing submission through sheer military might. But Earth had not responded with brute force. They had responded with something far more terrifying. They had responded with silence. The countdown was not a show of power. It was a psychological weapon. And it was working. The Armada moves. Despite their fear, the Council had no choice. They could not allow a single backwater planet to hold the galaxy hostage. With mere hours left on the countdown, the order was given. Assemble the largest invasion fleet in Council history. Within minutes, over 5,000 warships mobilized. The fleet was a display of sheer dominance. Colossal dreadnoughts that could crack a planet's crust, carriers deploying thousands of fighters, battleships with weapons designed to burn atmospheres away. It was an unstoppable force, or at least that was what the Council believed. As the fleet roared toward Earth, the Council broadcast its message. Surrender immediately. Deactivate your defenses. Hand over all technology and leadership to the Galactic Council. There was no response. Just the countdown. 3 hours remaining. The arrival at Earth. The fleet breached the outer edges of the solar system. At first, everything seemed normal. No human warships appeared. No planetary shields activated. Earth's orbital stations remained silent. The Council's admirals exchanged uneasy glances. "Something isn't right," one muttered. "Where is their resistance?" They reached Luna's orbit. The moon hung in the void, a familiar celestial body, cratered and lifeless. Except a low-frequency pulse vibrated through every warship in the fleet. It was subtle, so subtle that most dismissed it as interference, until the first ship lost power. The battlecruiser Ebunfang, one of the most advanced ships in the fleet, went completely dark. No alarms, no explosions, just silence. Then another ship, and another. Within seconds, over 100 warships drifted lifelessly, their engines and weapons completely disabled. Panic erupted across the fleet. "We're under attack." But there were no weapons fired, no energy readings, no signs of incoming projectiles, just ships going dark. Then the fleet's admiral saw it, and he understood. The moon wasn't a moon. It was a superweapon. The dark side of the moon. Hidden for centuries beneath the surface of Luna was something never detected by any Council scans. A structure. Massive. Dormant, until now. It had no physical weapons, no visible defenses. But it didn't need them. It was a quantum disruption array. A weapon that didn't destroy ships. It erased their ability to function. The technology was beyond anything the Council had ever encountered. And as the rest of the fleet frantically tried to escape, the final message from Earth came through. "We warned you." And then, the countdown reached 0. A final pulse swept through the entire fleet. Every single warship minus 5,000 vessels strong shut down. The entire galactic armada was neutralized in under a minute. Not a single shot had been fired. Earth had won, without ever going to war. The shocking truth revealed. As the Galactic Council watched in horror from their homeworlds, humanity sent one final transmission. A single human commander appeared on screen. He smiled. "You thought we were weak because we stayed silent." The council leaders trembled. "You thought we had no power because we did not show it." The cameras zoomed out, revealing an entire fleet of Earth's warships, cloaked, waiting in deep space. Humanity had never been defenseless. They had just never needed to fight. Until now. The human commander leaned forward, and with quiet, terrifying certainty, he said, "You were wrong." The transmission cut, and across the galaxy, the age of human dominance began. Earth's secret superweapon, the dawn of humanity's dominance. The Galactic Armada had been neutralized. 5,000 of the most powerful warships in existence, rendered useless in less than a minute. No explosions, no destruction, no casualties. Just silence. The heart of the Galactic Council shook as they watched their once invincible fleet drift helplessly in orbit around Earth, powerless and broken. For the first time in recorded history, an entire galactic force had been brought to its knees without a single shot fired. And the worst part, the humans had barely revealed anything. The Council had assumed Earth's silence meant weakness. Now they realized the truth. Humanity had been waiting, preparing, planning, and they had just sprung the deadliest trap in galactic history. The Council's panic, a galaxy in chaos. The emergency war chamber on the Council homeworld was in complete disarray. Leaders from every major empire shouted over one another, their voices rising in panic. "This is impossible." A Xel war strategist hissed, his usually serene composure shattered. "No technology exists that can disable ships without physical contact." "It does now," Admiral Thran muttered darkly. His golden eyes were fixed on the real-time footage of the stranded armada. And Earth built it. General Karthok, the Dralzan warlord, slammed his fist onto the table. The reinforced metal cracked under his strength. "I refuse to believe this. The humans are nothing. They are weak. They..." His words died in his throat as the transmission resumed. The same human commander appeared on the massive central display. He looked completely unbothered by the chaos unfolding in the council chamber. If anything, his expression was amused. He waited patiently, watching the alien leaders descend into panic. Then, with deliberate calm, he spoke. "Your fleet is dead in the water. Your weapons, useless. Your technology, obsolete." His words were daggers, each one cutting deeper into the Council's crumbling confidence. "For centuries, you have ruled through fear, through conquest, through domination." The human leaned forward, his expression turning colder. "That era is over. The final revelation, humanity's hidden fleet." The council members froze as the holographic display shifted. The entire solar system appeared, planets, moons, and asteroid belts laid out in pristine clarity. Then, one by one, hundreds of hidden objects revealed themselves. They had been there all along, but undetectable, hidden from even the most advanced scans in the galaxy. Gigantic warships, sleek, terrifying, and completely unknown to the rest of the universe. The Galactic Council had always believed that humans were a minor species, still stuck in their early spacefaring days. But as the hidden fleet came into view, that lie shattered. Humanity had never been weak. They had been watching, studying the galaxy, preparing for the inevitable moment when the Council would come for them. And now, the moment had arrived. The truth about Luna, Earth's true power. The display zoomed in on the moon. The Council had always dismissed it as a barren rock, a lifeless satellite. But now they saw what had truly been hidden beneath its surface. A structure so massive, so impossibly advanced that it defied comprehension. A planetary scale machine. The quantum disruption array. It was not a traditional superweapon. It did not fire lasers. It did not launch missiles. It did not use brute force. Instead, it was something far worse. It erased enemy technology at a fundamental level, shutting down entire fleets, overriding energy systems, rendering even the most powerful warships useless. The moon was not just a celestial body. It was the most advanced defensive weapon ever created, and the humans had kept it hidden for centuries. The message to the galaxy: a new ruler rises. The human commander's voice cut through the silence once more. Your reign is over. His tone was absolute. No hesitation, no mercy. Humanity is no longer your subject. We are no longer your lesser species. We are no longer beneath you. He leaned closer, his eyes gleaming with a deadly certainty. You will leave Earth alone. You will never set foot in our system again. And if you even think of violating these terms. The display flickered again, showing a single human warship. It was unlike anything the Council had ever seen. Its hull was seamless, without rivets or visible joints. Energy pulsed across its surface in ways that defied physics. And then, it disappeared. Not through hyperspace, not through teleportation. It simply vanished. A moment later, it reappeared thousands of light years away. Instantly, every Council member's blood ran cold. The humans had broken the laws of physics. They had mastered technology beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. And they had kept it hidden. The human commander's voice returned, calm, almost mocking. Do not test us. You will not survive it. The transmission cut. And across the universe, one undeniable truth settled into every heart. Humanity was no longer the prey. They were the new apex predators of the galaxy, and there was nothing the Council could do to stop them. Humanity's message to the galaxy: the chains are broken. The Galactic Council had been undisputed rulers for over 10,000 years. They had crushed rebellions, subjugated civilizations, and rewritten the rules of war itself. They had never known defeat. Until now. Until Earth. Now, the very foundation of their empire trembled as the impossible truth settled in. They were no longer in control. For centuries, they had seen humanity as a primitive species, unworthy of recognition. But in a single flawless move, humanity had turned the tables. And they had done so without firing a single shot. The Council leaders sat in stunned silence, their war room holograms still flickering with the aftermath of their fleet's complete and total defeat. They had believed themselves gods. Now, they knew they were prey. The Galactic Council's breaking point. Chancellor Orvex's exoskeletal fingers twitched as he stared at the darkened holoscreens. His golden eyes reflected the shattered remains of the Galactic Council's once mighty armada, still powerless and adrift above Earth. For the first time in his long reign, he felt fear. Beside him, General Karthok of the Dralzan Empire sat in eerie silence. His sharp claws, once always tapping in irritation, now lay still against the cold metal of the war table. His reptilian features, usually twisted into a sneer, were now blank. He had no plan, no threat, no counterattack. None of them did. Admiral Thran of the Zevran Republic finally broke the silence, his voice tight with restrained horror. What do we do? No one answered, because no one knew. The countdown had reached 0. The humans had delivered their message. And now, the entire galaxy was listening. The broadcast that changed everything. Without warning, every communication relay in the galaxy was hijacked. Every planet, every colony, every starship, every single civilization, from the core worlds of the Council to the distant fringes of known space, was forced to listen. A human face appeared on the screens. Not a soldier, not a politician, but a young woman in a simple, unmarked uniform. She looked calm, unshaken, in control. And when she spoke, her voice was heard by trillions. For generations, you have been ruled by fear. Her words were clear, each syllable perfectly translated into every known language. You have been told that the Galactic Council is invincible, that their fleets are unstoppable, that their rule is eternal. Her expression hardened. That was a lie. The broadcast shifted, showing the crippled fleet above Earth, thousands of warships drifting like corpses. The image sent a shockwave of fear through the galaxy. This is what happens to those who try to break us. The humans had not just won. They had made an example out of the most powerful military force in the universe. And they were not finished. The revolution begins. The Council's control crumbles. Across the galaxy, on hundreds of enslaved worlds, the broadcast was received with awe and fury. For centuries, the Council had ruled through fear, crushing dissent, destroying resistance, rewriting history. But now, the unthinkable had happened. A single planet had defied them. And won. Whispers spread through the dark corners of occupied worlds. Rebel factions, once too afraid to rise, began to rally. On the mining colonies of Yelaranine, the enslaved workers turned their tools into weapons. On the forest world of Ka-Theri, the native warlords, long forced into servitude, gathered their hidden forces. On the forgotten battlefields of Sendrix V, abandoned soldiers, once enemies, now allies, prepared to strike back. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy had hope. And the Council, they had never been more afraid. The Council's final desperate gamble. As the broadcast rippled across the stars, the remaining Council leaders gathered in the shadows of their grand chamber, their voices hushed and frantic. We must stop them. Karthok growled, his claws digging into the table. We must strike before they move against us. Orvex, once the most composed leader in the galaxy, looked old now. Weak, broken. How? He whispered. We have no fleet. We have no plan. And we have no time. Silence. Then, a single word. Assassination. The Council turned toward the voice. It belonged to a shadowed figure, one of the few remaining members of the Council's intelligence branch. If we cannot defeat them in battle, we must cut off the head of the serpent before it grows too powerful. Karthok's eyes gleamed with newfound determination. We kill their leaders. The plan was desperate, reckless, but it was their only hope. And so, in the dead of night, the orders were sent. The greatest assassins in the galaxy were dispatched. Their target, the leaders of Earth. But the Council had made one fatal mistake. They thought they were still the hunters. They had forgotten that Earth was always watching. And as the assassins moved through the void, cloaked in shadows, they never realized. Humanity already knew they were coming. The final hour, Earth's ultimate move. On Earth, deep within a hidden command center, a man sat in front of a vast array of screens. His fingers tapped against the console, observing every move the Council made. He had predicted their desperation. He had expected their final act of defiance. He smiled. The screen before him displayed the incoming assassins' locations, their stealth ships moving in patterns they thought were undetectable. They were wrong. A single command was issued. Activate the Omega Protocol. Far above the planet, the hidden warships in deep space came online. And for the first time in history, the true extent of Earth's power was about to be revealed. The galaxy had witnessed Earth's warning. Now, they would witness Earth's wrath. And this time, there would be no mercy. The final revelation, Earth's hidden power unleashed. The Council's assassins moved like ghosts, slipping through the vastness of space, their cloaked ships designed to evade even the most advanced detection systems in the galaxy. They believed themselves undetectable. They had infiltrated hundreds of planets before, overthrown monarchs, erased revolutionary leaders, crushed rebellions before they could rise. To them, Earth's leadership would be no different. But the assassins had overlooked one crucial fact. They were not the hunters. They were the prey, and Earth had been waiting for them. Earth's Omega Protocol. The trap is sprung. As the assassins approached their designated targets, something shifted in the void. For a brief moment, the stars blinked. Then, reality itself seemed to warp. Every assassin's ship, every stealth vessel, every infiltrator approaching Earth, vanished. No explosions, no distress signals. They simply ceased to exist. The Council's horror, the final warning. In the Galactic Council's war chamber, the last remnants of their leadership watched in mounting dread as their screens went dark. Their assassins had been wiped out instantly. They had not been detected. They had not been hunted down. They had been erased. Chancellor Orvex rose shakily from his seat, his mandibles clicking in growing terror. What did they do? A transmission cut through their private network. An act that should have been impossible. The image of a single human commander appeared before them. His expression was unreadable, cold. And yet, there was something else behind his eyes. A quiet, terrible certainty. He knew they were beaten. The Council knew it too. Your last move was expected, the human said, his voice calm. We allowed it to happen so that you would understand. The image shifted, showing a vast black void where the assassins' ships had once been. There was nothing left. No wreckage, no debris, not even dust. It was as if the ships had never existed at all. The Council leaders felt pure, unfiltered dread. You don't understand, Orvex stammered, his voice cracking. We thought. The human interrupted, his expression darkening. That is the problem. You thought. He leaned forward, his voice turning to steel. We warned you. We let you leave. We let you exist. And still, you tried to destroy us. His eyes burned with a quiet fury that sent a ripple of fear through the Council chamber. Now you will learn what happens when humanity stops holding back. The unveiling. Earth's true power is revealed. The Galactic Council had always assumed Earth was a minor power, its influence limited to a single star system. But as the holographic display changed, their assumptions shattered. What they saw was not just Earth. Not just one hidden fleet. Not just one superweapon. They saw the true scale of what humanity had built in the shadows of the galaxy. And they realized, too late, that Earth had never been a single planet. It had been spreading, building, preparing. For centuries, across the stars, dozens of hidden fleets decloaked. Not hundreds of warships. Not thousands. Millions. Each ship faster, more advanced, more lethal than anything the Council had ever seen. And at the heart of it all, the Arc Horizon. A colossal ship, unlike anything in known history. Its size dwarfed entire moons. Its weapons were beyond comprehension. It was not just a battleship, not just a fleet carrier, not just a superweapon. It was a world killer, a final answer to any threat, and the humans had kept it hidden. Until now. The Council's surrender. The new order begins. The Galactic Council had ruled for 10,000 years. They had never bowed to another power. They had destroyed entire species to maintain control. But now, they knelt. Before Earth, before humanity, before their new rulers. Chancellor Orvex trembled as he spoke the words he had never imagined he would say. We surrender. The human commander gave a slow nod, but there was no mercy in his gaze. Good, he said, because your rule is over. A holographic display shifted one final time, broadcasting the Council's surrender across every world in the galaxy. To the enslaved races, the conquered civilizations, the broken worlds that had lived under the Council's boot for centuries. A new message was sent. The Council has fallen. The old order is dead, and humanity now stands as the guardians of the galaxy. The era of oppression is over. This is our galaxy now. And as those words rippled across the stars, a new age began. The age of Earth. the age of humanity. And the galaxy would never be the same again. Epilogue. The dawn of a new era. The Council's homeworld was placed under human control. The old rulers were exiled, imprisoned, or executed. But Earth did not become conquerors. They did not enslave the defeated races. Instead, they offered them something the Council never had: a choice. Those who wished to fight could challenge Earth. None did. Those who wished to leave were allowed to go. Few did. And those who remained, they became part of the new order. A galactic alliance, unlike anything before it. Earth did not rule with fear. They ruled with strength. And as the new fleets moved across the stars, as the old worlds were freed, as the last remnants of the Council faded into history, one truth remained: humanity had won, and the stars would forever remember their name.